Hey y'all, welcome to Fitting and Homemaking. My name is Sarah, and today we are going to be cleaning up these garden beds because it's almost 70 out in January and it needs to be done. All right, let's get to it. All right, y'all, not gonna lie, I'm feeling particularly awkward about doing this right now because my neighbor is also, like literally my next door neighbor is also out doing yard work. And I'm over here talking to myself. For y'all, you're welcome. Y'all, this jalapeno plant lasted for so long. Oops. Come on now, root. There's a few rotten tomatoes on the ground here. All right. All this little ground cover stuff is going to come back anyway. Let's get it cleared out for now. So since it's so nice out, Max! Let me go get Max so he's around here. Buddy, stop digging up my bush. Max, hey, get out of here. Hey, Max, do you need to go inside? Do you need to go inside, Max? Oh, God, buddy. Stay out of the garden beds, Max. Come over here. Come over here with me, please. Max, come chill with me, otherwise you're going inside. All right, Max decided to dig up another garden bed because there's a mole in it. Anyhow, it's a really nice day to do this. And I've been thinking, even though it's January, kind of about what we'd like to do in the garden for next year, or I guess for this year, for next season, this spring? How would you say that? Spring 2026 is what I'm talking about, not very effectively. And I think we're actually going to use both of these garden beds this year. So I want to get them both cleaned out real quick. And luckily, these weeds are just super easy to pull. Sorry if you can't see that because of the bin. Maybe that's better, I don't know. All right. This tomato plant also had so many tomatoes on it and bloomed for so long. There. Sorry, I'm not very good at talking and doing this at the same time, am I? I was thinking about what we want to do in the garden just very vaguely next year. And I think we are going to use the next bed over, which we didn't use at all last year. So I'd like to do a little bit more this year than we did last year. Also because the kids really just loved it so much. Guys, there's so many rotten tomatoes on the ground right here. Yuck. But the kids really enjoy the garden. It's nice to be able to have your own food, but it also teaches them, you know, where their food's coming from. They get excited watching it grow from just a plant, and then the plant flowers, and then the flowers turn into the fruit, and you watch the fruit change colors until it's ripe, you know. And I think it's really important to learn, especially when you're a kid, about where your food's coming from and how your food systems work. My gosh, there's so many leaves right here. And I remember when I was in elementary school, I grew up in a very rural area, so we would take many trips. Our field trips were like going to the farm, or going to the composting plant or the sewage treatment plant, and just kind of learning how things worked. And I feel like that's not as much of a thing anymore. Maybe I'm mistaken. My kids aren't in school yet, so maybe I shouldn't be making those assumptions. But yeah, I mean, there are people who actually believe that chocolate milk comes from brown cows. And I know that's like a silly, stupid thing. But, oh, is that part of that tomato plant? Goodness, it is. Look at that root, y'all. All right, I should have put my hiking boots on for this instead of my tennis shoes. A little late for that now. But I think we will do the jalapeno plants again. Peppers grow really well in our area. We're in zone 7B here, so we have a decently long growing season. Peppers seem to really like it. Also should have put my hair back so I can see what I'm doing. But as you can see, the soil is it's got some clay in it, but it's nice black soil that's fairly loose. Good for growing things in. Let me save this so I remember what kind of, I mean, I know it was a jalapeno plant, but I want to remember what kind of cherry tomato plant that was. Get up some more rotten tomatoes. Sorry, I know I'm like right in front of you guys. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, just like learning where your food systems are. And we're gonna do peppers. And I'd like to do the tomatoes again. We use them in salads. I'm not much of a salad person in general, but I do like to eat them in the summer. And my husband likes tomatoes in a salad. My kids don't like the tomatoes in their salads, but it's easy to just not put it in their portion. I am just going to leave the cages in here for now, because that way it's either they're going to be in here or I'll be storing them elsewhere. So please, what are you doing? Okay, sorry, I want to make sure he wasn't eating a rotten tomato from there. Max, don't eat things from the yard, please. But yeah, my kids just had a really good time watching the plants grow and like taking care of them and checking in on them. You know, I feel like it really gave them a better appreciation for plants as living creatures, for how they change, and for how we should be grateful for them. You know, just kind of starting a little bit of, I mean, I guess it is earth science, but, you know, appreciation for the environment and taking care of it. Although I feel like maybe kids these days don't really need that lesson because they're dealing with the fallout of people who did not pay attention to that lesson or didn't have that lesson taught to them or just didn't care. All right, how much of this do I want to pull out? All right, so we're doing pretty good. I want to get this stuff on the back. We did have a pea plant in here. It gave us like one harvest of peas and then it just got too dry and died. The peppers and the tomatoes really did good regardless of how much neglect we visited on them. All right, and I'm gonna leave some of this ground cover stuff. It's not worth completely weeding that until I'm about to get some new plants in here. As long as I weed it every so often to kind of keep it under control and under a certain height, that should be fine. All right, what's this guy doing? These enclosures are a little bit worse for wear, but they still work for the most part, so. Max, stay here. Max is alerting to like every little thing. All right. Gonna spread that out. The ground cover is also gonna, I think, help some of the dirt from washing away too, so I think that's fine. A lot of this is just behind here, and honestly, even though it's nice out and I like being outside, I've had a busy day and I kind of really don't want to be doing this right now. So even with you guys watching, I'm just decided to half-ass it to a certain extent. Because some days, half-assing something is the most amount of effort you can, what are the words I'm looking for? Conjure is not the word I'm looking for, but you know what I mean. It's what you can do. If you only have 60%, you can't give 100%, right? Oh, okay. Try to get some of this stuff. And I just don't want to wrestle with moving this thing. So there's like trees growing in between here. But I think this year we will, hair in my mouth because I made poor choices. Let's get this close back up because that's all I'm doing in there today. So I'm not just immediately putting these back in. But a little bit later on this winter, I'll draw up a garden plan with you guys. I'll just put that there. But that is not today, the garden planning. But I think we will want to use this one. I think it's going to be more for like experimenting with plants we haven't done yet. And maybe experimenting with some companion planting. This one is even more borked since it's just, oh, sorry lizards. There's lizards scurrying everywhere. I think they're skinks. But yeah, I didn't end up cleaning this one out last year, so this is a big mess. But yeah, maybe use this bed for trying some stuff we haven't planted before. One big kind of extension to the garden that we had last year. So if you haven't watched any of my gardening videos from last year, what we did was, over there we had the tomato plant, the pepper plant, a pea plant, and we tried some carrots. Only one of the carrots actually grew, and it took forever because we planted it when it was a little bit too warm out, so they took a really long time to get going. But one actually kind of made it into adult carrothood where we could harvest it. But that's all we did really in that bed. And like I said, the tomato and the pepper did really well, but in the bed in front of the house, we're on the south side of the house right now, and the front of our house faces east. In front of the house, on the southeast corner, there's a bed there. And we have a little strawberry patch, and the strawberries did amazing. Like, they were flowering well past the first frost and giving us strawberries still well into late fall. So that was amazing, because my kids can go through some berries. And then we have 3 blueberry bushes in the front. And we have 1 blueberry bush in the back. That gives us some blueberries, but not a ton. It's a bush that was here when I moved in, and you could tell it wasn't cared for very well. It's kind of scraggly. There were other plants around it that were allowed to get overgrown. And it just didn't have enough sun where it was. So we just kind of let that one limp along and get the berries that we can from it. We have since cut back some of the plants surrounding it so that it has started to do better, but it's going to be a while for it to like be a nice blueberry plant. So that's what we had in the garden last year, and something my husband and I have talked about for a while is we both want to have an herb garden. And I think he'd probably like to plant some more peppers, some more different kinds of peppers. But I think I was looking up gardening and companion planting and that sort of thing, and a lot of herbs actually are good companion plants for blueberries. And the bed that the blueberries are in front of the house is a really big garden bed. So I actually put stepping stones down the middle of the garden bed, and the blueberries are kind of closer to the house. They're dwarf blueberry bushes, so they don't get over 4 feet tall. So it was reasonable to kind of plant them closer to the house, since they're not going to turn into mini trees essentially. And a lot of the herbs that I'm thinking about planting are good companion plants for blueberries. So on the other side of the stepping stones that go through the middle, like the front part of the bed, I think it should be okay to put some herbs there. And I think maybe we'll try that this year. But I think that's going to be like the main extension of the garden. But I also haven't talked with my husband about this, so I don't know if he has extra things he wants to try in the garden. But I know what I'd like to do is definitely going to take up that bed next to us, and the rest of the blueberry bed and the strawberries we started with 4 strawberry plants, and they have just spread to completely take over the rest of the room in their garden bed. And we didn't actually plant any strawberries this past year. They just kind of came back from the year before. So even though we've had a hard frost and it has very minimally snowed so far this winter, usually if we get snow it tends to be in January and February rather than December, but we did have an early, very small snow. But if you look at them now, they look like they're doing fine. I mean, some of the leaves have turned reddish orange and they're not flowering right now, but they're still there, and I imagine once the weather warms up that they will flower again and produce more strawberries. So that's been fun not to have to replant them. And that's something that we will always eat every single one of, whatever ones the bunnies don't get, you know. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for these beds, and this was just a good excuse to get me off my butt and to get outside since it's a nice day. I'm a little bit bummed. Tomorrow is supposed to be a really nice day. Temperature-wise, it's gonna be like 72, but it's supposed to rain all day. Max, come here. Come on, Max. Come over. Max, do you need to go inside? Come on over. That's a good boy. Come on over right here. And since it's gonna rain, like I was planning on taking my kids to the playground. It's a Saturday, but my husband, it's like one of the random Saturdays that he has to work all day. So I was gonna take the kids to the playground and like do a picnic, whatever. But now the forecast has turned to all rain. So now we're gonna have to do like an indoor kids museum, and that is just beyond overstimulating to me. My kids love it. We have a membership to it because they need somewhere to let off some steam when it's too cold or too hot or too wet to do anything outside. And we're not the type of people who it's like, oh, it's raining, don't go outside. But also, we're not like, go play on the playground when it's completely wet and you're gonna get soaked through. So maybe we can do some puddle jumping around the neighborhood so that they do have some outside time. I don't know. Oh, there's a little snail shell. Here, give me a second and I'll show you guys. Sorry, I'm sure this video is just absolutely thrilling of me just weeding and occasionally talking to you. But that's what life is sometimes, right? And I apologize if I keep kicking the microphone. I just really didn't want to have to do much of a voiceover for this one because I'm not going to really have time to do it between now and then. This weekend, so it's a Friday when I'm filming this. It's not going to be a Friday when I post it. I think it'll be a Wednesday. But next week, my work from home days are off, so I don't have time to film during the week. And I'm not going to have a lot of time to edit because I have a departmental retreat. And tonight I'm supposed to go to a thing at one of the possible daycares we're looking at for my daughter. And then, like I said, tomorrow my husband's working all day, so my parents are very kindly coming over to help me out with the kids so I don't absolutely lose my ever-loving mind. And not that I can't take care of my kids by myself for a day, but this is not, let's just say it's not good timing for me to be their sole caregiver. And knowing that, I want to be a good mom and account for that. And my parents love helping out and seeing the kids, so we're doing it. But yeah, it's going to be a busy day. And then the next day we have 2 birthday parties to go to, one of which I have 0 details about. And it's the day after tomorrow. And see if I can show you guys. Look at how pretty that is. Oh, it's not. I don't think anyone's living in it right now. Look at that. Beautiful, right? All right. I'll put it back in case someone did just go out for a bit. There you go. But yeah, and then the next day I have a departmental retreat, which would normally be on my work from home day. And then the day after that I have a dental appointment, which is like, I don't mind getting shots. I don't mind like doing normal healthcare stuff, but dentist stuff really, it's a no for me. So it's been a while since I've been, so that also is anxiety inducing about what results I'm gonna get. And then I have another appointment on Friday, another doctor's appointment. But I think these are looking much better, but that's just to say next week is gonna be really busy. And I'm kind of tired of being busy, right? All right, well, now that I have bitch moaned and complained about you guys, I think that's a pretty decent job. The little weeds in there don't bother me because more of them are gonna grow up before we plant anything, so I'm just gonna have to do it again. Here's a look. The other one left the cages in there, but you can see some bare dirt. Before I plant anything, I will move these and get kind of the trees that are growing in between here out and up against the side of the house. So we'll do that. And that's going to be it for today. Thanks for listening to me whine. Thanks for keeping me company while I clear out these 2 beds, while the weather is cooperating and while things were still dead, so it was easy to pull things out. And if you like more of this kind of unhinged content, go ahead and subscribe, hit the notification bell. Would love to have you back. All right, I will see you the next time. Bye.